What did you make of the President of the United States calling you a white supremacist?
Allegedly, he's part of a militia coming out of the state of Illinois.
Did you know how dishonest media coverage of events could be?
Travel across state lines and shoot 3 people and then walk free.
Kyle Rittenhouse was on Tucker Carlson last night. We've got all of the best clips coming up for you today. Also, the Democrats' obsession with white supremacy, gas prices trying to be quelled by President Biden, and does the bail system need reforming in certain parts of the country? All that and more coming up. My name is Jobob. Daily Caller Live starts right now.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
Might be the only brown guy on earth named Jobob.
That is actually their name, Jobob.
Ooh, hi! From a dingy bunker completely cut off from the outside world, except for you fine folks. My name is Jobob. Thanks so much for tuning in to Daily Caller Live. Today is November 23rd, year of our Lord 2021. And we've got a lot of great stuff for you today. Kyle Rittenhouse went on Tucker Carlson's show last night. We've got the best clips for you. This stuff that I didn't know and I thought was actually pretty interesting and not necessarily political sides all that much, but some pretty interesting stuff coming out of that interview. Joe Biden has released 50 million barrels of oil from the emergency reserve that the United States has, and he's going to try and lower gas prices, which I guess is a good thing. Maybe we'll kind of discuss that in a little bit. Also, the Waukesha massacre the other day. We've got some really interesting details about the bail system in Wisconsin and where that driver was. But all of that stuff is coming up. I want to first get to this Kyle Rittenhouse stuff on Tucker. Really interesting stuff that I didn't know and didn't see. If you watched it, great. Maybe you want a recap of it. Maybe you want some discussion of it. We can discuss in the comment section. But I got a couple clips that I thought were super interesting. Again, the acquittal was just on Friday, and Tucker had an interview last night. I think they recorded it over the weekend. So really quick turnaround. If I were an attorney or a friend of Kyle Rittenhouse, I would say, dude, keep your head down. Like, start your life. You're 18 years old. But he's choosing to go a different direction, which is fine. That's his choice. But actually got some really interesting stuff from there. Listen to this first clip from Tucker last night. This is regarding Rittenhouse's time spent in jail, which I didn't know was as extensive as it was. Check this out. We'll discuss on the other side.
How long were you there?
I was in jail for 87 days, and this follows in with Lynn Wood, Lynn Wood was raising money on my behalf, and he held me in jail for 87 days, disrespected my wishes, put me on media interviews, which I should never have done, which he said, oh, you're going to go talk to the Washington Post, which was not a good idea, along with John Pierce. They said I was safer in jail instead of at home with my family. And then after I'm bailed
Your
up,
lawyer said that?
My lawyer said that, John Pierce and Lynn Wood.
87 days is a long time to be in jail.
It was very long. I lost a lot of weight in there. I since then gained it back.
I know the feeling.
Yeah. But 87 days of not being with my family, for defending myself and being taken advantage to, being used for a cause by John Pierce and Lynn Wood, trying to trying to raise money so they can take it for their own benefit, not trying to set me free.
So this is an interesting component in this whole Rittenhouse situation. Again, I was unaware of this, and this is not like a political taking sides. I know there's a lot of people out there that are fans of Lynn Wood and what he's done in the past regarding, well, we'll just leave it there. But Kyle Rittenhouse said that he was in jail for 87 days, almost 3 months, that he sat in a jail cell, not being able to get out and see his family, and was obviously communicating with his attorneys. But remember, the bail was set at like $2 million. I should have pulled up the exact figure right there. But the bail was set astronomically high. We'll get to a really interesting component about bail. The district attorney that released the Waukesha driver, not going to say his name, but the Waukesha driver said that their bail was too low. That's a whole other thing. We'll talk about it in just a couple quick seconds. But the Kyle Rittenhouse thing is absolutely astonished. I didn't know this, that he was in jail for almost 3 months while his lawyers, and he's blaming his lawyers. This is not, again, a partisan thing. He's blaming his lawyers for saying, oh, we need more time to raise money. You're safer in jail than you are with your family. I don't know how okay with that I am. Or if I was Kyle Rittenhouse, I don't know how okay I would be with them being my attorneys. He was then saying they were denying his wishes, not doing anything that he wanted to do, and instead he sat in a prison cell for almost 3 months. So again, this is not a partisan thing. This is not a political thing. If anything, people that like Kyle Rittenhouse might be thinking, scratching their head, going, wait a minute, I don't know what to believe, which I think is a good thing. Kind of ambiguity in what people think is a good thing coming out of this case. I want to play this other clip from Rittenhouse on Tucker last night. Also pretty interesting. Let me see if we can get to some comments here. I'll check some of the comments regarding Rittenhouse in jail while we play this next clip. Watch this.
So before this, I mean, you're 17 years old. So you're probably not, watching cable news all day or, deeply into politics, or maybe you were. But did you know how dishonest media coverage of events could be?
I didn't. I've never seen something so polarizing in my life when it's obvious self-defense. If you look at the case, you look at the facts, no matter what your opinion is or where you stand, this wasn't a political case. It shouldn't have been a political case. It was made a political case. This had nothing to do with race, and the ways people are twisting this is just sickening.
I think a lot of people watching have reached the same conclusion, and they would like to see you help make this better by holding some of these liars to account. Do you plan to do that?
I have really good lawyers who are taking care of that right now. So I'm hoping one day there will be accountability for their actions that they did.
Okay, so you're intent on you're not going to let that go.
Like I said, really good lawyers are handling that.
Yeah.
So just before we get into that thing, Kyle Rittenhouse basically saying, yes, we are filing outrageous amounts of money in lawsuits for libel against him. But I want to get to a couple of these comments. Joseph said eventually his bond was paid and he was released. Yes, but how did it take almost 3 months? I think that's the question that a lot of us are asking, given how widespread and massive this event was. This is not necessarily related to this, but I wanted to get comment on. This is from Spencer. Politics equal poison. Everyone's siding with their peeps because they share an ideology. It's become a sickness. I would happen to agree. If something is true, there's no denying the fact that it's just true, regardless of your political ideology. And I think we're seeing that specifically on the left when it comes to the Rittenhouse case. Pretty much anyone being honest with themselves would agree that it was clearly self-defense, especially with all of the evidence, all of the video, all of the testimony. Everything that happened in that courtroom would lead any person being honest with themselves to believe that Kyle Rittenhouse was absolutely acting in self-defense. But you have a ton of people on the liberal media. We've got a really, I want to say awesome, but it's not awesome. It's actually terrifying clip from one of your lefties talking about the Rittenhouse case, where in fact she's just lying about it. But yeah, politics has become this ideological corner where you only side with your side, whatever your side thinks, even if your side is just completely wrong about everything. But to address what Kyle Rittenhouse said in the clip, Tucker asked, did you know that the media could be that dishonest? And he was like, no, I had no idea that the media could actually be that dishonest. And by dishonest, again, we're not talking about opinions. We're not talking about, well, I think it should be this way and I think it should be this way. No. We're talking about MSNBC and CNN literally saying the exact opposite of the truth. As if I were to say, this is a coffee cup. And they say, no, it's a camel. That's how ridiculous some of your media outlets have been covering this story and stories like that. Not only are they just ideologically bent, they're factually wrong. This is again, nothing new from your liberal media, but it's become an exaggerated and drastically overplayed hand that liberal media outlets continue to use. And with that, I want to get to this. The Democrats' obsession with fake white supremacy. This is going to be interesting. Kyle Rittenhouse on Tucker was also asked, well, I'll play that clip. Then I want to play a clip from Joe Biden on Anderson Cooper in which he's talking about the Rittenhouse case almost, a year and a half ago or whenever this thing came to surface. Actually, I think it was even less the time than that, but Joe Biden was on Anderson Cooper talking about the Rittenhouse case and said some things that just weren't true and didn't turn out to be true. And he knew at the time they weren't true. First, listen to this clip from Tucker Carlson in Rittenhouse last night, and then we'll play the Joe Biden clips.
What did you make of the President of the United States calling you a white supremacist?
Mr. President, if I could say one thing to you, I would urge you to go back and watch the trial and understand the facts before you make a statement.
That's not a small thing to be called that.
No, it's actual malice, defaming my character for him to say something like that.
So the President of the United States, in a commercial, in an interview with Andrew Mitchell on Anderson Cooper, in a lot of different places, alluded to the fact that Kyle Rittenhouse was a white supremacist. He was part of a militia that crossed state lines. I don't understand the cross state lines thing. That's going to become the new "Let's Go Brandon" thing. Seriously. I don't know. If somebody's doing something illegal, did they cross state lines? The 80 people that robbed the San Francisco area Nordstrom, you heard that right. If you didn't watch yesterday, 80 people ransacked a Nordstrom in the liberal-run San Francisco area on Saturday night. Did they do anything wrong by ransacking it? No, not unless they crossed state lines. Regardless of that, I want to get to this clip that Joe Biden had earlier on in this Rittenhouse process, in which he repeated things that were just clearly not true, and he should have known that they aren't true. Then he says something about Donald Trump, and this morning I was deciding whether or not we were going to go into this. Yeah, we're going to talk about it. This whole Democrat obsession with fake white supremacy and saying, well, they never disavow white supremacists. Oh, we've got some clips. Listen to this. The first part is him saying stuff about Kyle Rittenhouse, and the second part we're going to go in on. Watch this.
Well, look, I don't know enough to know whether that 17-year-old kid exactly what he did, but allegedly he's part of a militia coming out of the state of Illinois. Have you ever heard this president say one negative thing about white supremacists? Have you ever heard it?
So that is Joe Biden last year, not in 1995 when Donald Trump wasn't talking about politics. No, that's last year after Donald Trump had been the president for 4 years and had consistently and unequivocally disavowed white supremacy. This is a thing. This is a thing that I'm super, super irritated about. First of all, Joe Biden said that he's part of a militia. No, he wasn't. Not at all. And where did the president get that information from? Your liberal lefty lying media, the LLL. Oh, maybe I coined a new term there. But Joe Biden just repeated something that he heard on TV that was not true at all. And as the president or as a candidate for president of the United States, you can't be doing that. Kyle Rittenhouse should absolutely file a lawsuit against the president for defamation for all of the different instances in which Joe Biden alluded to, or at least assumed that he was in fact a white supremacist as a part of a militia. But then Joe Biden said something ridiculous, and Democrats keep saying this, and your liberal media keeps saying this over and over and over again. The Republicans never disavow white supremacy other than all of the times that they do. Seriously, this is a ridiculous thing nowadays. They never disavow the KKK or white supremacists or neo-Nazis. They never say anything bad about them. Literally, the current president of the United States, Joe Biden, said on a national TV interview that the former president has never disavowed white supremacy. Oh yeah? Well, check out this clip, and you might find something a little bit inconsistent with what Joe Biden said.
Same question. I said, I disavow. I disavowed then. I disavowed today on ABC with George Stephanopoulos. I disavowed again.
David Duke is a bad person who I disavowed on numerous occasions over the years.
I totally disavow the Ku Klux Klan. I totally disavow David Duke. Ultimately.
So, okay, so just this is a longer clip, and I feel like I didn't set this up well. So you clearly heard some pretty strong disavowing from the president. Now, I was trying to figure out if I could just play this from the former president, Donald Trump. I was trying to figure out if I should just play those couple clips to make it pretty clear, but I was like, no, I want to play the entire thing. This is a little bit long, but it's pretty unequivocal that President Trump consistently and constantly, whenever asked, denied any relationship with or any sort of support or endorsement for white supremacy and neo-Nazis. It's pretty clear. And again, do I need to play this entire clip? No, I do not. But just to warn you, it's a little long. It's like a minute 30, and we're just going to sit here and watch all of the times that he continues to disavow white supremacy and the KKK and neo-Nazis because those are terrible organizations. Yet, Joe Biden and your liberal lefty media continue constantly to say that this never happened. No, he's never disavowed white supremacy. Check this out.
He got to the Ku Klux Klan, which obviously I'm going to disavow.
I've rejected David Duke. I've rejected the KKK, the Ku Klux Klan.
David Duke is saying to his supporters and followers, vote for Donald Trump. White supremacists are saying, vote. Do you want those votes?
No, I don't want them, and I don't want him to say it.
And you want the supporters?
No, I don't want anything.
What do you think of white supremacists, by the way?
I don't like any group of hate.
David Duke announced his Senate candidacy, claiming your agenda.
Are you ready before you ask the question?
Newt Gingrich said every Republican should repudiate this guy no matter what it takes.
And I do. Rebuked. Is that okay? Rebuked.
Rebuked.
Done.
Done.
Do you want white supremacists to vote for you?
No, I don't at all. Not at all. Racism is evil. And those who cause violence in its name are criminals and thugs, including the KKK, neo-Nazis, white supremacists. And you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. I spoke out forcefully against hatred, bigotry, and violence, and strongly condemned the neo-Nazis, the white supremacists, and the KKK.
President Donald Trump signed a congressional joint resolution that condemns white supremacy, neo-Nazis, and other hate groups.
In one voice, our nation must condemn racism, bigotry, and white supremacy.
Yeah, so I think it is pretty dang clear, yet continually, even today, I would imagine there's going to be someone today on one of your MSNBC, CNN podcasts, somewhere someone is going to call Donald Trump a white supremacist. Did we need to play that whole minute-and-a-half clip? No, we did not, because it's already pretty evidently clear. But I just wanted to reinforce the point, drive it home to show that this is absolutely ridiculous. Evelyn said, could he be any more clear? Seriously, I don't, I just read another comment that I think is funny. I don't think it could be any more clear. David says, let's go, Brandon. All right, I don't know if I don't know if this is a joke or not. I think this is sarcasm. And if it is, well played. But Teresa says, Jobob, you do realize playing Donald Trump disavowing white supremacy makes you a white supremacist. I hope that's sarcasm, because if it is, that is some funny sarcasm, witty satire. I appreciate it. That's hilarious. I like that sort of humor. But if it's not, holy cow, I'm going to read that again if you're just listening. Jobob, you do realize playing Donald Trump disavowing white supremacy makes you a white supremacist. Teresa, please comment back. Let me know that you're being sarcastic. If not, oh man. Oh boy, this is a good one. Anyways, so look, this is just ridiculous. Democrats continue to do it, and I don't know how it necessarily gets stopped other than continuing to do it. But at the same time, if you're continuing to answer questions from your liberal lefty media saying, are you a white supremacist? Are you a racist? And you have to continue asking them, what you're doing is giving value to their question. So at some point, Republicans or conservatives who value the free market and don't care about race and don't care about any of that garbage nonsense need to stop answering it. And then they're going to say, well, they won't answer the question. So I don't know what you necessarily do about it, but it's just ridiculous how far things have gotten. What do I want to play next? Do we want to talk about gas prices? Yeah, let's do that. Gas prices are ridiculous. Everybody knows it. What are gas prices like? Teresa says, yes, sarcasm. Okay, then I appreciate it, Teresa. That is a funny joke. I appreciate the humor. Want to talk about gas prices. Joe Biden today did something that nobody's ever done before. President Biden announced the release of 50 million barrels of oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, the SPR, on Tuesday as high gas prices continue to affect Americans across the country. The U.S. Department of Energy has a two-pronged plan for the release, with 32 million barrels being part of the exchange over the course of several months. According to the White House, 18 million more barrels will be an acceleration into the next several months, according to the administration. So basically, they're going to release a bunch of oil that we have in our, what is it called, Strategic Petroleum Reserve, the Biden administration announced today. Here's the other thing, though, that, again, why don't we just reinstitute the permits for the Keystone XL pipeline? The Keystone XL pipeline was being built, and then Joe Biden said, no pipelines. Russia can have their Nord Stream 2 pipeline, which we won't get into right now, but we can't have pipelines here in America. We have to drive trucks down from Canada to the oil refineries in Texas. Well, we don't want to pipe stuff through clean, efficient pipelines. We want to drive them on gas-powered trucks. That makes sense. But yeah, why don't we just reopen the pipelines instead of release strategic petroleum reserves? The Strategic Petroleum Reserve is a supply of oil kept for emergencies and hasn't yet been used to help with oil prices, according to a CNBC report. So is this a good thing or a bad thing? Again, the president's saying we need to lower gas prices. Okay, well, you can help lower gas prices by reinstating all the permits for the pipelines that can traverse the country and get crude oil to refineries at a much more efficient, much more green cost. But no, since the woke mob on the left, but since the wokesters out there want the pipeline to be completely banned, since Trump was pro-Keystone XL pipeline, Joe Biden has to be anti-Keystone XL pipeline, even though it's worse for the environment, not nearly as efficient, and a whole host of other reasons as to why we should absolutely pipe crude oil down to the refineries. No, because the wokesters don't like what Donald Trump did. Joe Biden has to be against it. And instead of reinstituting the permits for the Keystone XL pipeline and countless other pipelines across the country, now we're going to tap into our emergency reserves. Doesn't seem like the best thing to do, especially given the fact that CNBC reports that CNBC reports that the Strategic Petroleum Reserve supply of oil is kept for emergencies and hasn't ever been used to help with oil prices. Doesn't seem like the best thing to do, and also seems like you're using Federal Reserve products, not Federal Reserve, but reserved federal products to help with a political issue that you're having, Mr. President. But nevertheless, the Biden administration is releasing 50 million barrels of oil to help with gas prices. Again, seems like a political use of taxpayer-funded emergency reserves, especially given the fact that you could just open up the pipelines that you shut down. Let's move on from that. Did I ask what gas prices are in your neck of the woods? A bunch of people commenting, holy cow, some of these are expensive. Over $5. Wow. Tennessee, that seems high. But I'm not going to doubt you. I want to get to this. This is actually important also. This is not an uplifting story, and it seems kind of dangerous. The suspect in the Sunday Waukesha Christmas parade massacre was freed twice by two separate judges on low-cost bail in 2021, and had an active warrant in Nevada, according to court documents. I'm not saying this guy's name. You can find it. You can find it online. Everybody's using it. They've got his face plastered on all of your mainstream media outlets. But I'm not going to give this guy any sort of ground that he doesn't deserve, or I don't know. I'm not saying his name. So if I say, oh, that's his name in this article in context. Who allegedly plowed his vehicle through a crowd of people on Sunday's parade, leaving 5 dead and more than 40 injured, reportedly posted $500 in bail in February after allegedly shooting at his nephew the previous summer. was arrested and posted $500 bail for shooting at somebody. He was also freed on a cash bail of $1,000 on November 11th. Holy cow, November 11th, 9 days before he plows his car through a parade of people, after a woman accused him of striking her and running her over with the same car that he used to crash into the parade. So a woman accused him of striking her and then running her over with the same car that we've all seen on repeat on the news. She accused him of doing that, and he was released on a $1,000 bail. The Milwaukee County District Attorney Office admitted Monday that they screwed up letting the Waukesha crash suspect out on a bond just days after it was announced. An internal review, just days after, and it announced an internal review of the decision, according to a letter obtained by a local reporter. So this guy was out on bail of $1,000. This is a problem with bail in general. There's this woke push to get rid of bail. In California, they've all but outlawed bail. This is a headline from the LA Times. California ends cash bail for those who can't afford it. Oh, how sweet, how kind. We're just going to end cash bail for the people who can't afford it. Hey, maybe don't get accused of a crime. You thought of that? Now, of course, if the evidence is overwhelming, in fact, you didn't do it, yeah, it might suck for a little bit, and you might spend a couple days in jail, which, again, is bad and not good, but I don't see a better system or how it would work. But the fact that we're going to completely eliminate bail because some people can't afford it? Oh, no. Where's that going to lead? Well, you know where it's going to lead. It's going to lead to skyrocketing crime. Like I just read, California, again, I know I talk about California a lot, but it is one of the laboratories of democracy in the United States of America. Do not let your state become California. Crime in California, violent crime specifically, is on the rise, and it has been skyrocketing in California. Why? In part because there's no more prisoners, there's no more criminals in the jail system. They're all off because California has eliminated cash bail because they can't afford it. How kind, how nice. Just let criminals back on the street. And maybe they'll show up for their trial, but there's really no incentive for them to do so because they don't have any money on the line. There's no cash at stake. There's nothing that anybody put up for them to get out of jail. So why would they show up for their court hearing? It's going to be really interesting after this first year of California completely eliminating cash bail for those who can't afford it, to see how many people don't show up to their court case. Same thing that what goes on at the border. They tell you, oh, go into the country, do whatever you want in the country. And then lo and behold, nobody shows up for their court case. But such is the bail system in California. And this is a problem across the United States. This is clearly what happened in Wisconsin is an issue. But I think there's a lot of people need to take a look at this in their own state. I want to move on to this. We'll kind of end on this. This is funny but terrible at the same time. Get your vomit bags ready. There's the chyron on there. Get your vomit bags ready because this is atrocious. This is Amber Ruffin, has a show on the Peacock platform, which is an NBC-owned property. NBC is allowing somebody to say this. Check this out. Again, I added the little eye roll emoji here because I feel like people need it. I don't want to play this thing and then people hop on here and go, what in the world are they playing on this thing? And I don't necessarily want to give her any more air than she should have, but this is too much, so you got to listen to it. Check this out. Again, get your vomit bags ready and listen to this.
You guys, because I have my own show, I have a responsibility to say things that people need to know that aren't being said. It's a cool opportunity that I don't take lightly. There are very big, obvious truths that no one wants to say on TV, but I will. Now, just a few minutes before we started taping this show, Kyle Rittenhouse, the man accused of shooting 3 people during a Black Lives Matter protest, was declared not guilty on all charges. So, I can't believe I have to say this, but...
Okay, here we go. Here she's going to go. Remember the fake tears they said Kyle Rittenhouse had? Oh, here it is. Oh, no, I can't believe I have to say this. I didn't watch the trial at all, but I'm going to comment here now.
It's not okay for a man to grab a rifle, travel across state lines, and shoot 3 people and then walk free.
Cool, so none of that happened.
It's not okay for the judicial system to be blatantly and obviously stacked against people of color. It's not okay for there to be an entirely different set of rules for white people. But I don't care about Kyle Rittenhouse. I don't care about that racist judge. And I don't care about how up that jury must be. White people have been getting away with murder since time began.
Oh, man. Okay, NBC employs this person. This is a problem. There's a lot that she said there that is just absolutely ridiculous. First thing, she goes off and describes the trial, which clearly she didn't watch. Kyle Rittenhouse crossed state lines, even though that's been debunked. The first thing that he said when he took the stand was, he was asked, why did you cross state lines? No, my dad lives in Kenosha. I'm here often. This is where I live part of the time. So there's that. In fact, that whole cross state lines thing, I don't know why they keep trying to trot out that horse. But the whole idea of he crossed state lines just isn't true. And then she talks about him going on to shoot 3 people, which he did, but it's not like he was running down just shooting people and picking them off like willy-nilly. No, they were attacking him. He feared for his life, rightfully so, according to a jury, and was acquitted on those charges because he clearly defended himself and had to. Then she goes on to talk about race, and the court is stacked against black people, even though there was no black people involved in this case. So not really sure how that works. And also the Andrew Coffey case in Florida, in which he fired at the cops, but also was acquitted using self-defense because he didn't know they were cops and they broke into his house to do a raid. That guy was also acquitted, black man in Florida, because he thought he needed to defend himself, and probably rightfully so. So don't give me that crap about, well, it was racism in the court, even though everybody involved was white. So there's that. Then she goes on to say explicitly that racist judge, we're just going to throw that out, that the judge is automatically racist? Did you watch any of the trial? Did you see any of the evidence? Did you hear any of the witness testimony? It doesn't sound like it, at all. But again, this person, Amber Ruffin, is employed by NBC. Apparently, you can just get away with saying that sort of stuff on NB-freaking-C. Again, not on big NBC, but an NBC property, the Peacock Network, the streaming service. But holy cow. And then she goes on to say white people have been getting away with murder for years. All right, the whole racial divide thing, how do you think this is going to end? I'm genuinely curious. If you're going to continue to blame races for things, how do you think that this is going to end? I'll tell you, it's not going to end well. It's not going to go good. It's only going to end poorly. Seriously, do you think Amber Ruffin saying something like this is going to cause less violence in the streets because people who are uninformed are taking to the streets and rioting? Or do you think it's going to cause more of that? I don't know. What do you think, Miss Ruffin? NBC, people that employ her? Clearly, she didn't watch the trial, like a second of it. But again, my biggest question is, do you think your comments are going to help the racial situation in America or hurt it? Because what you're doing is you're pitting races against each other, which is not good. I don't think anybody should be doing that. And I don't think that NBC should be employing a person that continues to tout such ideas. That's just me. Maybe I'm a dumb guy. Man. Let's see if I can read some comments in here. A lot of these I wish I could read. Seriously, I wish I could, but I can't because you use so many cuss words. Steve says, can I get a job at NBC? Jason says, I hope Kyle sues her out of her job. Yeah, that's the case. Let me see if there's anything else I can bring. Yeah, somebody says this, whoever gave this woman a show needs to be fired. Sonia says. Let me see. And this is people don't know about this. A guy named Andrew Coffey was found not guilty on the same day as Kyle Rittenhouse. And Coffey was black. Both sides said self-defense. So the self-defense case works. In Andrew Coffey's case in Florida, if you missed this, he fired on cops. The cops raided his home on a drug suspicion. And he didn't know who was in his house. He thought there was an intruder, and he fired at cops. Was found not guilty by way of self-defense, which seemed, if you read into the trial at all, seems appropriate. If somebody's in my house that I don't want to be in my house, or I don't know who they are, chances are I'm going to defend myself. That's what I'm going to do in my own home. So that whole thing is what it is. Let me see if there's any more that we can bring on. Again, I would love to read a bunch of these, but I just can't, because y'all use the F-bomb 9 freaking times in this thing. And I understand that you're irritated at Joe Biden. But maybe let's use some Let's Go Brandon terminology here so I can bring these on a little bit more often. But that's going to do it for us today. Really appreciate you guys taking the time to hang out with us. Daily Caller Live airs every single morning on Facebook Live and all of your other YouTube. We're thinking about going on Twitter, but we haven't as of yet. If you haven't already, give me a follow on all of those social media accounts. Just type in JOBOB on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Only one that pops up generally, because there's not many other Jobobs out there. But we really appreciate a follow. Send me stuff that you think could be interesting to talk on about the show. We're getting more and more of emails to dclive@dailycaller.com. You can email us anytime you have a thought, you have an opinion, you have something we should share, something that we should be covering. Send it along to dclive@dailycaller.com. We've had a couple of them come in. Been good emails. Been reading some pretty good emails from some pretty good folks. Want to bump those numbers up. So if you have any thoughts, send it on over to dclive@dailycaller.com. We're eventually going to start a segment in the show called Mail Call, which we read some of your emails online and discuss them. But haven't as of yet. So pump up those numbers in the dclive@dailycaller.com. That's going to do it for us today. Really appreciate you guys hanging out with us. We'll see you right back here tomorrow, right before Thanksgiving. Maybe we'll talk about some Thanksgiving facts. I don't want to tease this too hard because I still have to get the approval from the person that sent this to me. But I have a person that I know very well that sent me a photo of a parent. They are a teacher. They sent me a photo of something that a parent said to them. Maybe we'll have that on. Has to do with Thanksgiving. Tune back in tomorrow, see if we cover that. See you tomorrow. God bless America.